more PUBG than you, which is why it's such a pleasure to commentate with you, alongside you all the time.
And for me, it's mainly the aspect of seeing patterns.
Yeah.
Because as RNG and as random as things might seem sometimes, teams, I mean, it's the only logical thing, right? This is the same reason you prepare yourself for another team, because if you keep watching X team, they will do things twice. I mean, they will try to do things over and over again, and if you can set yourself up perfectly against it, well, you might just up your chances of winning. But now a C game, and number 1 of the day, 9 overall, has indeed started. And for those of you guys out there, do spam some love in the chat for whatever team you may support. And let us know who exactly that is. I'm sure the players would very much appreciate it. But everyone's out. No big surprises so far. Seems like BCGG and company from Not Fair has opted not to go north this time around, but down towards Novo.
Yeah, they've got their 2 spots, right? And this is exactly when they get to use it, because this plane direction works out for all teams, including Riddle. They can still get Severny from it, but it doesn't work out for them, right? They have to change up, and they get 2 spots, which is quite lucky. They're not being kind of having to fight for an extra area here. Now, again, we get to see Northern Lights. They have military base over and over again, and we spoke about them because yesterday they certainly played a ton better than what we've seen. Yes, we had that military base game, but actually other positions where they're not getting circles that benefit them, they're still able to fight within.
And now we get a circle that we actually haven't really seen in this lobby, at least. We haven't been out west a whole lot. We've been center, we've been east, and we've been north a couple of times too. But on the western side, we haven't really had the pleasure of being. So for these teams that are out east, sure, they aren't out there just yet because the plane was somewhat western. But for some of these teams, it will be interesting to see how they're planning on making those rotations on over to the other side of the island.
You know who's sat there thinking very happy days right now? It is GL. Because GL, they normally get if it's a central circle or it's an eastern circle, they always end up chasing it just a little bit. This time around, they're not smack bang in the center, but it has certainly favored them to enable them to actually potentially hold this bridge and continue to give some pressure over towards the Northern Lights team down in military base. Because more often than not, GL have to evacuate before they make the cross, right? So it's a decision-making now where they might be able to say, hey, look, we're going to pin you down. We're going to get some extra frags nice and easy here.
And also, how will they do it? Because they know teams will be coming in from the east, and it's really rough to rotate around the north if you're coming into this circle because the river is up there. So it doesn't give you a whole lot of room to maneuver around, which means that teams will look to go in from the south. So will Gamer Legion do that? Bridge Camp, we've seen them try to do it before. Didn't really pan out the way they wanted to. Well, because the only team that was there didn't go over that bridge.
They're like, bye.
But goodbye, we're not doing that. But will they full-on commit to that? It would make sense to a certain degree. Or will they send one guy, maybe somewhat send to get himself a compound with the risk of having him being pulled up on with his teammates not be able to do anything?
Well, we'll be down to seeing what happens as we get towards the later stages of this. Time will tell before this circle comes in. Still another minute, 20 seconds to go. Fenerbahce on your screens at the moment, a team that certainly need to step it up in what they want to do here. Now, there are a few teams now, and we're at the 9th match point for Group B. And there's a telling sign that in, say, by the end of today, I'd say actually by the end of tomorrow, it'll really tell us if they can fight back or not into this.
We can put it this way. By the end of today, we're at the halfway mark. If you haven't started delivering now, I mean, we talked about how you shouldn't give up on your strategies. Just because they didn't work one game, they could work in the next. If you've played half the games and you're a high-caliber team that has proven yourself many times, and you're sitting in 14th out of 16 teams, you got to consider throwing that playbook out the window and do something new.
Now, Oshtec Warriors, you just had them on your screens there. The team from Saudi Arabia, not an arena that we see too much from, right?
But, at all.
Yeah, there you go. But they've made it, and they were making waves yesterday as well. Impressive end circles they were playing in. Not always the cleanest positions, but you can see they're adapting. They have improved day on day.
They had 2 games where they pushed on out. I mean, sure, they got circles towards their compound. Happens for every team. You can't really go against that at all. It's just good for them.
That's part of it.
But the one game where they went into 7 was on a streak already, and they just annihilated them. Not a whole lot you can do against them. But the other game, when they pushed out, they figured, well, that didn't work. Now we get a chance again. They pushed out smart, and they almost got themselves the win against Inside Games.
And that's what it comes down to, right? That really kind of solidified them with a position to potentially try and get themselves in a consistent positioning within this top 8. And that's what they're going to be looking for when it comes down to it, right?
That crate could not be any further out. That's when Bjorn has to figure, do I really want to swim out there? Do I have a boat here? I have to go north. I mean, he's inside the circle. You know what? Honestly, level 3 gear, go for it, Bjorn. It would be. I mean, it's so valuable Level 3 gear is so valuable. What does he get with it? As long as it's not a Groza. MK14 and 8x. You know what? That would be very, very unwise not to go for. Of course, question is going to be whether he saw it or not.
Yeah, and obviously he can see the crate, but he doesn't know what's going to be in it. Obviously the level 3 gear regardless. But is it worth it for him? Does he want to change it up? He'll have to make that decision. And it could be one of those positions where if he does go for it, it could be a big game changer for him. And he does have the time, though, given where they are in the circle.
Also, a team we haven't really spoken a whole lot about is the Finnish guys here from Phoenix. They had a win on Miramar, the only Miramar game we had the pleasure of getting in this group. But I mean, and that was played very interestingly, and that could be one of those teams. Could be one of those teams that actually embrace. There are so few teams that like Miramar. How about if we become really good at it, we'll have such a big advantage? Because technically it was half the games played there, and they could be suffering now because they're up against the lobbies where maybe the majority of teams are saying, well, Erangel, for sure, that's our home turf, right? We're gonna deliver here. Where they've maybe have put their main focus on getting good on Miramar.
And that's the problem, right? We've seen actually, even on the remake games, some very hot and heavy Miramar games coming into play that actually were very exciting for us to watch and commentate here. But it is a situation these teams have to deal with. It's how they adapt to that. And who isn't going to maybe be able to adapt here is Tornado, a team that we spoke about saying they weren't performing up to standard from what you'd seen from them in the past, Toby. Already getting personal courage, tapping them away, shooting them down. And they always seem to be within fights, but not always coming out on top. And that's kind of the scary factor for me, is that they're obviously willing to take it, but maybe they're not backing away at times when they should.
They have to do the same adaptation that Avantgarde did. We saw Avantgarde day 1, day 2, out aggressive, lost 1 player, 2 players early on, it cost them. Ever since then, defensive, 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 and then you can activate beast mode once you come into circle 4, circle 5 with 4 people alive. That's what you want to do in these sort of lobbies. Now we do see the circle closing on in, as we said, as predicted, the players would mainly move in from the south, so plenty of room up north to maneuver around, which means, of course, also, should this next circle go up there, it's going to be tricky for these teams to kind of figure who gets to go where and whatnot. But for 3D Max right now, a team that, well, they've shown, they got a win yesterday, maybe a little gifted by the deep.
Hey, that was the best win ever. That was the most, I'm still in shock. I'm like, what the hell happened there? There was no way they should have been able to do that.
Got themselves that win yesterday, and now they're trying to see if they could do something in this day as well. Bjorn, trying to get in on the action, wants to see if he can do something, and a knock on Perfectix to start things off. That's what we're talking about. Maybe not the bridge camp, but at least they stayed down here waiting for them to cross over.
And that's it, right? They had a different setup. They wanted to make him feel comfortable as they came over that bridge, and now they're going to try and let it rain in. They're trying to fire off these shots. The deep trying to put some pressure back onto them to say, all right, we're not just going to let you pick us apart as we walk in, but they do need to be oh so careful.
And you saw the statistics there right next to the name. It is something that can be activated and deactivated. Average damage, average kills per game. Good info to have, knowing exactly how these teams and players play. Because one team can have a lot of kills, but that might not be... I mean, there might not be all the roles filled, because in Counter-Strike you have very designated. I'm the AWPer, I'm the support, I'm the entry fragger. In PUBG, it's a little different. I mean, sure, you have the scout and you have the in-game leader, but what they do when it comes down to the actual fight aspect of things tends to be very, very different from team to team.
It comes down to what weapons they've got in their hands, being able to lead up, and also how confident they're feeling on the day. And a team that's always confident is Riddle. They've had a win, they've had some good games, they've had some nice placements, but overall they still want to be able to push a little bit further. They're another team that take these engagements, as you can already see them firing off onto Seek Org over here, and they've actually made an early rotation, earlier than what they do most of the times. They're actually a late rotation team.
Seek Org has been trying to get here a lot of times before, but always been fighting Fenerbahce. This time around, they said, you know what, we'll go down early, we'll get the position, and we'll do something with it. Now they're here, wide split, and they're trying to take control. Edelweiss getting inactive. If 7 can get off to a good start. Oh, the Northern Circle, we just talked about it. Look at the map, how many teams are south. Wow, this is going to be fun and chaotic.
It always is when we get a circle like this, and this is what we love to see. Riddle already starting to make their way over to find themselves the compound, which is pretty much dead center. Seek Org may not really need to change too much around here. Sunzi needs to be careful, though. He's up out of his vehicle. He's started to move a little bit further down. But they've got teams within Pochinki and coming all the way around them. Some of these fights that could be happening very soon could be literally third party on third party on third party on maybe a sixth.
And that's the main thing with this circle shift, right? The entire bottom or center bottom side of it is Pochinki. You do not not want to rotate through there. Not even through the city, but not through the fields on the sides either. And that sort of prevents for so many routes to get up to the northern side of the circle. Everybody knows if you can go up to the top, there's going to be so much room, and you see everybody trying to make those rotations on through. And 7, alongside Seagorg, they know exactly where these teams will be driving on through, and that's why they've positioned themselves here. But now they're saying, you know what? Let's fight for this area too. Ness is under a lot of fire.
He's under a lot of fire and a lot of pressure. Those nades come in and do get the knock on him. Not fair. Gluttony, he's gone down as well. Professor's managed to find him and kill him off, so some players already going down, and this is what we expect to see. 3D Max have gone for the opposite approach, so you can't see him at the moment, but what they've done is go over on the far west side, work their way around, and they're just having a little bit of a poke and a view, and they're saying, okay, what's going on here? How can we work our way around this? And still up towards the north is pretty empty, so they can come around and literally push themselves in without too much of a problem.
Saxe, one little bit more damage there and he would have been blown up. That was very fortunate that he got out of the vehicle in time. But as you said yourself, 3D Max going back to where they came from. They looted South George. Why not go up that way again? They knew the path was clear. Go up, get control, get the vision from Everest, and see where you can go inside the next circle.
I love this bike in the house. Why not?
That's what you always... Oh, you didn't? That's what people always do.
Yes, I don't have the bikes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
drive it in there. No wheels to be popped. And then when you have to leave, they're like, then we're like, oh, we'll look at the compound, wait for them to run out, and then we just come out the door with the bike. That's
there's such a different dynamic now the bikes have been put in.
Smart way to save your vehicles when you have to rotate.
Loving it. Who isn't loving it, though, is going to be 3D Max. As Wago's gone down straight away. And this is the problem, right? They may have had a good positioning, but where they've split up a little bit here, they've allowed them to go down early on.
Exactly, and that's the thing. We see Hitrig and Phantom, they were already in the rotation. They didn't shoot at the first 2 guys, but then they lose 1 guy again. That's been their Achilles heel. A bit thorn in the heel has been losing a guy on one of their first rotations, not being able to do the 3D Max smash mouth kind of play that we know that they're capable of. Same thing with Erangel last week. We saw them play that game completely different once they lost that first guy early.
Saying that, though, the one thing that Erangel was able to do that other teams haven't been able to do is even with 3 players alive, you've been able to still come in with this top 8 on a regular basis. 3D Max have had opportunities, they've had chances, but often, and more often than not, they've struggled on these later positions.
Very much true. One team, though, I'm looking to see improve today. We're kind of zooming in on them right now. Yellow team, north of Pochinki, Stella. So high caliber players on this team just have not had things going their way. We want to see them do good here. They have a chance. They have a somewhat decent position just north of Pochinki there. If they get a circle somewhat in their favor too, they should be able to do something. Very caliber players, but that's the issue. Doesn't matter how good you are. If you're in a lobby with equally good teams, then it's going to be tough.
Well, Gamer Legion there are going to find their bearings as they've just come in. And actually, that circle's not too far away from where they've ended up. That's worked out massively. They literally only just pulled up, and now they'll be able to say, oh, okay, look, we haven't got as far to go. And now we can see maybe where some of the other teams are going to reposition themselves here.
Yep, next circle is going to have to shift away from water. So looks again like Seagorg will be in the middle. I don't know how they manage to find these center positions all the time, but very nice for them indeed. They will be staying in yellows, but they will probably be expecting for teams to start coming their way, because we've got something like 5 teams that aren't in the circle yet. And to me, well, the majority, if not all positions that are really sort of viable are already taken. So fights will for sure be had now.
And that's it, right? It's going to be fighting for all the space and all the spots that are left are not taken in. Northern Lights, they did lose a player early on here, but they're still going to be fighting in off. A team that we want to see kind of be able to continue what they started yesterday. Trejo, though, that's 2 now. At least in this one's a knock-on to Buster Travel, but that's a big hit because that's 7. And they're a team that, again, started to play smarter and stay alive a little bit longer before engaging.
Yet another team that's gone under the radar, Ghost Legion. Haven't seen a whole lot from them. They've been able to get up, get in those placements, had a good game yesterday as well, but we need them to just get those 7th places to 5th places, 10th places to 8th places. Just a little update and then a few more kills every game, and they would be right back up in there. So for Ghost is sitting up on the northwestern side. They got a crate if they want to go for it now as well. But right now we're seeing Stella. They're inside the city and they've got nothing else but pink to deal with. The guys in Sukdet Nam.
Yeah, Sukdet Nam. We don't see him come alive at this portion of the game, but they do if someone rolls up on them and they want to take the fights. Now, we have seen a couple of games even from them where they went down early on, but as the front runners here, they certainly are the team to be scared of. When you see them firing off, you really have to make your decision wisely. Do we want to challenge it and try and take them to hinder them from getting any further points, or do we just want to back away and say, all right, we're going to live to fight another day?
Trejo got the finish up onto Buster. Now Grocer to pick up might not be the favorable weapon, but that 8x full level 3 and a medkit for sure will be picked up. And that's the thing, right? Do you want to take the Grocer? It's a beast of a weapon when you're in close quarters, when you have to push a building or something similar. But looking at the map and how we're positioned right now, odds are that unless if the game ends inside of ruins, it will be nothing but at least 50-meter distance fights for the remainder of the game. So these DMRs, that's where you want to put your money, and Ferrex is trying to do it right now with that M14.
Yeah, that's it, right? This is where the pros are so good. They feel confident with many weapons here, but they've also situational, and that's what it comes down to.
True.
Are we going to go for the DMRs? And we look at where the circle pops, they'll make their decisions. They'll have an understanding of where it might end up finishing off here. As Seagorg, they found another player in Elderways from 7. And 7, they can't catch a break.
Wow.
They're eliminated in last place, and that is not what they would have wanted. This time, they didn't even really get to take the fights. They were getting picked off from all sides, too much out in the open, and they will pay the price for it.
Those trees can only cover you from so many angles, and Ferrex, just a little gap in between those two trees. Saw him moving around when he was trying to get those meds off. Unfortunate for him, does go down. New circle pops away from the water. We go, and as predicted, Seagorg will be dead in center. But look at how many teams are outside right now that somehow have to figure how can we get in. If you go out east, there's not a lot of places to play around. You have a dip or two that you can position yourself in, but for everyone else, they might just have to full on YOLO either into ruins or into the yellow compound that we see Ferrex and Seagorg inside.
And you saw there as well on your screen when the map came up, the Game of Legion, they've really created space for them. They keep moving around smartly here. With the Oshchek Warriors, we spoke about them before the game got into it. Outlaw taking off a few shots, trying to make it work. Couldn't get any knocks in, but he's applied the pressure. He's forced them away, and that'll give them position to now push out and get back inside that circle without too much of a problem.
YMD finishing himself off, I guess you can say, on a bike. That's unfortunate, but things like these do happen, of course. Bullen, Phoenix in the open. They have taken what I like to call the Tony Hawk area of the Erangel side of things. Plenty of hillsides and places you can flip your vehicles. Rip, nades are being thrown. It's a rich war trying to see who can surpass the other team in surviving these nades. Right now, 3D Max under a lot of fire.
Yeah, the fire is coming in towards them. Noki's been knocked. They lost Wago earlier on. This is a real dire position for them. They're just barreling out these nades, trying to find some sort of a knock or potential to fight back into this, and that's exactly what he'll be able to get. He gets the finish in there as well. Hidrick looking to do some more damage, going to pop himself the smoke, but nades are now coming out towards him. Where does he go from here? He's trying to pop the first aid kit. He's got to be oh so careful here because they know exactly where he is.
Yeah, he has his teammate going for the rest right now as well, so cannot do anything overly aggressive. You just got to stall it. You just got to prevent them from being able to take down your guy, because if you have two guys knocked all of a sudden, that's when it gets really tricky. So fortunately for 3D Max, they are the team furthest up north. No pressure from the water, nothing like that. They've got plenty of room to work with up there, but they do not want to allow for anyone else to push down inside ruins, because that's where it's going to get extremely tricky.
Yeah, that's the one benefit they did have, right? Where the third party is probably less of a factor coming in there. Sigzy, he's going to be able to get the knock onto Zinsan, but can he find anything else there for the Riddle team? Riddle worked their way all the way down from Zavernian. They're now on the east side, trying to make it work. Inside games going off in a fight with Stella here. Smokes are down across the board. Moleman's pushed up. Sigzy's getting across. Finds himself a second knock there, and he's looking to put an end to it. He's playing the long range game while his teammates are up close. He gets the finish onto Zampeak. And Stella, they're looking for kills. They're looking for frags. They're looking to eliminate inside games. And they're not far away from it. Just one player left, Ronin in the smoke. Trying to barrel himself away. He's just rolling. But it's not going to work. And they will take some further damage there. Sigzy doing really strong. Put that nade. Oh my!
What? You know how in Call of Duty there was that perk that when you die you drop a nade?
That's a I will suicide for the team. We weren't gonna win anyway. We'd all been knocked. Oh dear.
I was just gonna compliment Stella for the way they split up, they take control, they push down, but also said, well, you know what? If I'm going down, I'm taking you guys down with me.
Now, I don't know if this is overcritical, and you please do correct me if I'm wrong, Toby, but they had two players pushed up close range. There was only one left. Everyone else had been knocked. Sigzy had the range. He could have just stayed back and shot into that. He got close range that nade pinned off. Yes, there's hindsight involved, but you've got to play the element of, okay, let's have a bit of a wider spread, because they were really clustered together to allow that to happen.
Issue being, they had Riddle in the compound just down the hill, and they could see them, so they needed that sort of pressure, because Sigzy was constantly taking fire from Riddle as well, so needed to get on the plateau in order to be out of danger. And I don't know if it was on purpose. What also did I'm gonna die anyway. Let me just blow them up. But getting 3 kills with that nade.
Mate, that's the best set of points he could get. He's literally, he knew his days was over, right? He's like, okay, I just got to take this. This is going to be an L. who might not want to take an L here at all, though, is going to be Bullen. Some damage comes out toward him. 3D Max still getting it done. So they've been allowed to res up their players, and now they're just going to start to barrel out and try and do some further damage onto the squad of Phoenix.
Personal courage here as well. They have managed to keep 3 guys alive coming into this, and now they're up against Fenerbahce, a team that we've said we want to see more of.
Yeah.
They need to deliver, and right now things aren't going their way. Losing 2 guys pretty fast, pretty quickly on. Reaching 3 guys, actually. Shaxi goes down as well. Now it's all up to BSD by himself. He's trying to run back in, but not going to happen. Phosphor shoots him in the back.
Yeah, that's really nice and personal courage there. Kofest walked up, finished off the players he'd knocked. Fosverd was ready to do the chase, ready to cause the problem on the rest of them. Riddle are in a bad spot as well.
Yeah.
They're certainly pinned down. They've got the cars only as cover, really. They've got so much ground to walk over, and there's a lot of teams firing into them.
Riddle is covered from everyone, but one team. Suktednam. And Suktednam haven't really got aggressive yet. They haven't had to, and that's what I'm saying. Play it safe, wait it out. Now you have the form advantage, go for it. They have the position down south. You see them up there on your screen taking shots down towards Riddle. And this is where they're deadly. Give them the range, give them the benefit of the sort of terrain to work with, and they will indeed take you out.
And Zokik Nam, right, we got to say this, is Avangard last time around 4th, 5th phase, they start to push in, they start to get aggressive unless teams roll up on them. Zokik Nam taking this very similar approach, but more for phase 5 and 6 is where they come alive.
Yeah.
They wait it out, they get into it, and they say, okay, 10 teams, 9 teams left, we're going to be happy to get the points with confident in our own ability, and we'll get it done from here. Now, who isn't going to be able to get it done is the Riddle boys, as more pressure is being applied to them, more players being knocked in, the nades are barreling out towards them. Eyeballs actually been dropped on the side of Zen when we were talking about it. There's kills across the board now, as players are falling everywhere, and it's not working out for Northern Lights this time around.
Northern Lights tried to push over and get control, but unfortunately they were taking shots from multiple different angles. You see, not fair, Rip 9 and Genso on the eastern side, or western side in there, and there was just nothing they could do. There was a wide open stretch that they had to cross, and there was no cover for them whatsoever.
Full respect to Zinsan. The rest of your team get annihilated.
Yeah.
It looks like Riddle are going to be the next team to go down, but yet he plays the smart game. Now Zen, we talk about them coming into this. They're looking to put the hurt straight onto Tornado. Vasquez's coming in with the backup, and he's coming from the side, which I don't think Tornado are going to respect at all here. The nade comes out. He's spraying them down, trying to get any tags he can through this smoke, and he is going to be able to do some further damage, and this is where Zen are so deadly. Vasquez, once again, just pure teamwork coming out from Zen. This is beautiful to see, and Tornado get eliminated.
There's just no stopping them. I mean, you see one player go down low. No, but there really isn't. The way they're playing, I don't see anyone in this lobby being able to fight that. I mean, it's insane.
Toby, you keep giving me lyrics, man. You just let me sing away.
I know.
Every single time.
Yeah, maybe that's the reason for that. Riddle, you see, last remaining hope in Sinsen, taking fire from multiple directions, trying to stay put. And, well, at least for now, he is alive, but very sent in the circle too. But how long will he be able to remain unseen? That's a big question.
Well, who hasn't really been seen too much of yet is Seacork. They've got themselves in the compound. They're now starting to push out a little bit, but they're still covered by the circle. It's them who are going to be looking to try and take advantage now of some of these teams that are down a man, like Zokik Nam, right? Who are just across the, now they know the southern side. See, I'm kind of catching on you. I'm learning totally English. This is not what I want to do.
Tenglish.
I don't want to turn into Danish English. That's not going to be me. I'm supposed to be the British one here. But either way, Seacork do need to be careful of this, right? Because you can stand in one spot for far too long, and that's when other teams will start to swarm you, and that's when you're going to lose out. So I like the fact they've pushed out a bit more here, and they're looking to gain some more control.
And they have to. They need to make sure not to get pinned inside that tunnel. They can very easily get caught up in there, and Simpson in the end would go down. 8th place for him, just within points. Unfortunately, not as many as they would have hoped for, but as we said, it was a hard push for them out in the open there, and they didn't manage to get anything off it. Furrex now once again active, gets himself one more knock. Phosphor is bound to those. He does get the first aid off. Now the question is going to be, do you go for the rest or do you keep on going? You have to go because the circle's pushing in.
Yeah, and this circle's going to be doing far too much damage. So Fosverd's going to have to allow Kofest to go down. He's just going to crouch as long as possible, but as he's going to be tapped up, all they want to make sure that happens. And this is nice, good positioning. Manages to get the knock onto Phantom, and 3D Max can't afford to allow this to happen. He's been finished off. They do sway back into it, and they will get him down. Phoenix are eliminated, but 3D Max with only 2 players left alive.
You say it too, but there's only one. Hitrick actually got knocked. Soggy got himself 2 knocks off of that. Extremely well played, and now not fair. They're pushing up and over. They saw the knocks, they saw the action. They got to get something off of this, and there you go. That's 1 finish off, and that's 2. Great reaction from Genso. Not for a team that we haven't seen utilize these chances that they've had to really gain themselves some more points. So great play. Genso did get knocked there, unfortunately, but hopefully Rip will be able to get the rest on up.
This comes back to what you were saying earlier, Toby. 3D Max, when they have 4 alive, yes, it's a lot better for them. Losing a man early for this team is never a situation where we say, okay, 3D Max have got a good chance here. Even that should have never happened, that extra knock.
And this is exactly what we see. We saw it in the preview of the game. Seagorg, they get late game, they get kills, they don't do the damage. So Vietnam, they get late game, they get kills, and they do tons of damage because they've been shooting the entire game. Seagorg, they just get a good centered position. I mean, honestly, they get that center position. There's a skill in being able to do that over and over again. It's not just randomness anymore.
No.
When they continue to do these things, it's very, very wise play and good rotations for them to get all this way in here without losing any people. Now, they did lose one just before, but this is the difference we see, and that's why Vietnam go above, because you might see more placement points out of Seagorg, but the kills that Vietnam are able to get from that Circle 3 on towards Circle 6 or Circle 7 pushes them above.
And I think one thing we've got to note here, right, is Vietnam are probably the most complete team we've seen in this lobby thus far. And that is not just trying to big them up because they're at the top. That is because it's frags that are being had there. It's the awareness. It's the fact that their individual ability is high enough where they can send one player off on his own and be confident and be able to do it. And it's how fast they rotate in to back each other up so often.
And that's despite the fact that they've recently changed out a player. Very impressive to see their level of communication being put. Exactly. I mean, you got to dedicate yourself to it, right? You got to dedicate yourself to it for sure. Furax goes down there. Unfortunately, a bit of his own medicine, getting DMR to the face. That's what we saw him do all game long. I believe he has 4 kills already, but no more to be obtained by him. Balas is trying to cover his team from any potential threats in the open, while also trying to make sure that Vietnam doesn't push his way.
Not fair, though. They've got themselves within the top 4. It's Rip just chilling once again. He did this when we had the military base zone come into play. Now, Vietnam have put themselves probably in the best position here because they were down in the south. You saw that Seagorg went out for them. They've now rotated all the way around towards the east, and they've got a lot of ground here and also the cover from the trees, which is going to benefit them a little bit more. Rip's just not going to do anything. He's just going to chill and wait for now, and I think it's going to be really this battle between Ghost Legion and how they're going to be potentially fighting off against Nest soon.
And that's the reason you see Vietnam running together. Vietnam is a team that wants to spread out more, but there are so many snakes that potentially could mess them up, so they want to sit together, get that refrag opportunity. They knew there were people down here, and they're running together. As I say that, though, Paige, splitting out by himself, wants to go to the next plateau, but there's a person waiting for him there. Will he see it? Will he expect? Does he see the feet? I'm not sure if he did. Rip. Box it down goes Page. Not a whole lot he can do in that situation.
Thing is, now they're going to barrel off nades towards Rip.
Yeah.
There's not really anywhere he can go from here. The nades go a little bit too far. More going to come out. Rip spots up. He's like, okay, I might need to get the hell out of here. More nades going over. He'll be happy with this. Vasco's pushing up on the side, though, while this is going on. Will Rip be aware of it? He's looking for it behind the crate. He's using it to his advantage. Can he make it happen? Nice spot from Rip. If he gets this done, it'll be huge. Oh, my God, the damage from Rip onto Vasco. And that's not what they want to see. He's still staying alive. He's going to pop the first aid as well. And Vietnam could be hugely upset. The nades are going too deep. They've missed every single nade onto Rip. And there is so much potential here for Rip to completely upset this game.
And if you're Seagorg, you gotta utilize this. You gotta realize, okay, Vietnam is in a bad position right now. We gotta do this. And you see it right there. Balas pushes down. Sunset pushes out further east. They take control now. They want to be in a good position to really isolate Vietnam. Because if there's a team they want to beat in this game, that's gonna be them.
Seagorg looking to get this done. Rip has given them a gift. He said, I'll help you guys out this time around as long as I can stay alive as well. Barlos finds the knock onto Alpha. That's going to be Ghost Legion, who did very well. This is a good placement from them, right? You've got to respect it, but they go down in the end. Now there's just 3 teams remaining, and there's just 2 teams with 1 player each. Zen and Not Fair. What can they do here? Is this going to be them 2 still battling back and forth, or are they just going to be completely overrun by Seagorg as they start to make their way closer in?
I've talked to Ivel. He said Aki is the heavy fragger on the team. Haven't really had the pleasure of seeing it a whole lot, maybe because they haven't had that many up-close fights. But, well, I mean, now it's time to shine, right?
Yeah. The pressure's on now, mate. You've got to deliver. Even your teammate's saying that you're the one doing it, so let's see if he can. Looking on for Rip. Rip takes a bit of damage, but doesn't have to stand in and fight too long. Will go down, though. For some reason, just ducking and diving and bobbing and weaving for no reason there. That was really nice as well, but it's not going to be enough. As the pressure was applied, as soon as he shoots out, a 10-kill game and a 10-point game sees 20 for Seagorg.
And that's